It's the third oldest town in Puerto Rico, founded just 46 years after Spanish explorers first landed on the island shores. It was a town so large that it encompassed the neighboring towns of Orocovis, Barranquitas, Comerío, Sidra, Villalba, Ay Bonito, Calley, Juana Díaz, Santa Isabel, Salinas, Guayama, Arroyo, and Patillas. It's a town that feels Spanish, like you feel when you walk the streets of Old San Juan or the town of San Germán on the island's southwest coast. It's a town that's home to the only hot springs in Puerto Rico, standing testament to the island's volcanic origins. And of course, it also hosts the world-famous San Blas Half Marathon, a yearly event that gathers over 1,500 participants from every corner of the world and over 250,000 spectators. By now, you must be yelling, "Coamo, Coamo!" And of course, you would be right. So that's where we're going today, to the town of Coamo in the south central region of Puerto Rico. Getting to Coamo is easy. If you're coming from Isla Verde, Condado, or San Juan, just take State Road 22 until you get to the intersection with State Road 18. Continue on 18 till you find the intersection with Toll Road 52. And continue on 52 until you reach exit 76. The entire trip should take about an hour. From exit 76 on, it will be a matter of following the road signs. But if you would like to make things even easier, just copy the GPS coordinates on screen from San Juan Blas Church, punch them into your GPS, and you'll arrive in the middle of town. On your way to Coamo, you'll be traveling through Puerto Rico's central mountainous region, known among the locals as La Cordillera Central. The road you'll be traveling on was originally known as Expreso Las Américas and built during the governorship of Luis Ferré in the late 60s and early 70s. Rumor has it that the road was actually designed by his predecessor Roberto Sánchez Vilella, who decided to be paved in blacktop. But given that Luis Ferré was president of Puerto Rican Cement, one of the largest cement manufacturers on the island, the road was finally laid in concrete. Since then, it has been in a state of constant repair. Gossip aside, the ride is spectacular, with lush green countryside and mountains galore. About halfway through your ride, at kilometer 49.0, there's a beautiful monument on your right-hand side dedicated to the Puerto Rican peasant, known locally as Jíbaros. Sadly, Jíbaros don't seem to matter much in modern Puerto Rico, because the statue is dirty, the surroundings are overgrown, and there's nowhere to park. Of course, some will argue that there's a major repair going on right across the street. But the operative word is across the street. There's no connection between the elbow and the belly button. Right behind the Monumento al Jíbaro, there's a couple of beautiful mountains called Las Piedras del Collado, but the locals simply call them Las Tetas de Calley. In case you're wondering why, it's for the same reason that the Grand Tetons in the great state of Wyoming are called Grand Tetons. Still don't know why? Look it up! They're also the tallest peak along the entire road, standing at 2,762 feet. However, be advised that this entire area is dangerous. You'll have to park on the shoulder of the road, where 18-wheelers whiz by at breakneck speeds, and it's certainly not a place to hang out after sunset. It was 11 a.m. when my wife and I finally arrived in Coamo. We always try to visit the church first thing in the morning, but this time we were late. Luckily, it was open. When I was a kid back in the 60s, churches remained open throughout the day. In fact, some were even open throughout the night. But vandalism, crime, and personnel limitations have forced them to close when they're not in use. This is especially true in smaller towns where budget limitations are more stringent. The Church of St. Blas of Illescas, better known among the locals as la Iglesia de San Blas de Illescas, is a beautiful baroque temple that's considered by many as one of the most important works of religious architecture in Puerto Rico. Construction began in 1661, and the temple underwent a significant reconstruction in 1784. While the temple sits on the eastern end of Luis Muñoz Rivera Square, the town's main gathering place, it's separated from the open plaza below by a series of ceremonial steps and a delicate cast iron balustrade. On the inside, the temple is just as amazing, with a beautiful altar, vaulted ceilings, and religious art galore. There's even an 1813 painting titled El Bautismo by Miguel Campeche, the older brother of Puerto Rico's finest painter, José Campeche. Oh, and in case you're wondering, the altar points east, as is common tradition in Catholic temples. Even better, City Hall is just across the street on the west end of the square. All around the temple, there's a beautiful plaza named after Luis Muñoz Rivera, a Barranquitas-born politician who was Puerto Rico's second resident commissioner. And as far as main squares go, it's among the nicest that we've visited so far. First of all, it's clean and it's free of graffiti. For me, that's a must. But it's also huge, with lots of tree cover and an ample amount of benches for people watching. On the northeast end of the square, there's an obelisk in remembrance of the town heroes that made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of democracy. On the southwest corner, there's a different kind of monument. It's dedicated to the Piragüero. In Puerto Rico, a piragua is a snow cone that consists of fruit syrup over shaved ice. When I was a child, they used to come in paper cones, but nowadays you'll have to settle for a plastic cup. In any case, the man that used to sell those chili delicacies was called El Piragüero. And, to tell you the truth, I've been seeing less and less of them lately. After we left La Iglesia de San Blas, we went for a walk around the surrounding streets. The town of Coamo has this Spanish vibe that you also get in places like Old San Juan, Ponce, and San Germán. And the reason is simple. They're the oldest cities on the island, so the architecture is very Spanish. As we left the Catholic Church, we walked to City Hall to inquire about things to see and do in Coamo. The Coamo Tourism Office is located on the corner of Dr. Bebe Street and State Road 14. We went there inquiring about possible museums in town, but we were told that most were closed or under reconstruction. So we decided to check out some old bridges that I had found while researching on Google days before. Well, that didn't go too well. The first bridge we visited was the Padre Íñigo Bridge. It's a lattice girder bridge built over the Coamo River between 1853 and 1879. There's a more modern bridge right next to it where the actual traffic passes by. The municipality keeps the old bridge clean and in great condition, albeit it's only for pedestrian use. At the end, there's a staircase with the Puerto Rican flag and a small park with a modern sculpture. However, there was one thing that I couldn't understand. Why did a simple bridge like that take 26 years to build? From there, our next stop was at El Puente de las Calabazas. I guess that would be the Pumpkins Bridge in the King's English. It was supposed to be a single-span lattice girder bridge built over the Cuyón River in 1882. Instead, we found a new bridge which kept some of the old bridge's decorations to make it look old. I guess Hurricane Maria reared its ugly head in Coamo too. Our third attempt was at the General Méndez Vigo Bridge, a barrel vault structure built over the Las Minas River in 1862. Well, when we got there, we found overgrown vegetation, no way to film, and a broken water main that left a large part of Coamo dry. We had one more bridge to visit, and we had struck out so far, so this had to be the one, right? Wrong! We went to a bridge called Puente de las Flores, which isn't called that way because it has any flowers. It's because it sits within a community called Las Flores. In any case, we found an abandoned structure with overgrown vegetation and no appeal whatsoever. So after 4 blunders in a row, what did we learn? Well, we proved once again that just because something is on the internet, that doesn't make it true. Duh! Traveling is a contact sport. You actually have to go to places and see them with your own 2 eyes. I've had this happen to us both in Puerto Rico and in the United States. So, after 4 bridge blunders in a row, I wanted to see something that has caught my attention for decades. The municipality of Coamo puts a great deal of effort into promoting sports. And I know that most people think of Coamo and the San Blas half marathon comes to mind. But I wanted to see something else first. You see, back in the 60s, when I was in my late teens, I was really into cycling. There was a velodrome near my house and I would visit almost every evening. Back then, I was a 16-year-old kid without an ounce of fat in my body. Well, nowadays the San Juan Velodrome is a total wreck, but the one in Coamo is in pristine shape. One thing that I found quite innovative is that they've built a soccer field inside the racetrack. That way they maximize the space and usefulness of the facility. Great job, guys. I love it. And finally, there's the San Blas Half Marathon. It has been going on since 1965, and it attracts over 1,500 runners from all parts of the world and over 250,000 spectators. And guess what? As Puerto Ricans will always do, it ends with a huge town party with food, artisan exhibits, music, and of course, adult beverages. So why did I leave it for last? It wasn't because I consider it less important. It was because it's a yearly event. Yearly events are great and they create great expectations. But they have one downside. They happen once a year. Duh! Just think about it. What happens in Buñol when it's not tomatina time? What happens in Pamplona when they're not running from the bulls? I didn't want this video to be about something that happens on the last week of February. I want people to visit Coamo all year round. Finally, there was one more place that we didn't visit on our way out of town. It was the Coamo Hot Springs, also known as Los Baños de Coamo in the King's English. The Coamo Hot Springs are the only natural thermal springs in Puerto Rico, standing testament to the island's volcanic origins. However, they're a private, for-profit concern, and, as you might know by now, I produce Puerto Rico by GPS strictly on my own dime. Therefore, any private business wanting to appear in our videos would have to share the production cost. It's only fair. As we passed Los Baños de Coamo, we quickly got to PR 52 and headed back to San Juan. And talking about San Juan, if you're planning to visit the old city, save yourself the hassle of traditional city tours. They're expensive and you'll be herded along with people that won't necessarily share your interests. Instead, order the Old San Juan Walking Tour. It's packed with useful information about all the main attractions, as well as every GPS coordinate and 2 hours of exclusive online video. That way, you'll be able to visit before you visit and hit the ground running when you arrive in the old city. See you next time.